Warning: the following episode of That Mental Ginger Show contains strong language and adult themes.
Hello and welcome to That Mental Ginger Show with your host Andrew Durning, aka The Mental Ginger. If you like what you hear, please subscribe to the channel and ring the bell to be notified about our latest videos. The more likes we get, the more views we get, and the more subscribers that we gain into our faithful following will help us bring the channel one step closer to the professional content that we know you all love. On today's episode, we are talking to comedian Mark Nicholas. Mark was such an amazing guest. He was funny, he was articulate, he had so many great and inspirational stories to share. Now, what were those stories? Well, the only way you're going to find out is if you watch the show. But until then, let's cut to the intro.
All right, troops.
Mark, finally good to meet you, my friend. How you been keeping?
Yeah, not bad, not bad. Had COVID for a lot of January, so that put me out of action for a while.
Ooh.
But I'm back to full health, so just trying to get myself out there again. So yeah.
So what was it? What were your triggers to find out that you had COVID? Because my wife had COVID a few weeks back, and for her it was her taste. Because she normally feels lousy, but then when she couldn't taste her dinner, we were like, okay, red alert.
Yeah, no, I didn't have the taste thing. I started feeling like I sort of had a bad cold, and the thing is, for work in the school, it's a bit like, right, this could be COVID. And I did a test. I did a test that morning.
Yeah.
And it was blank. Then I felt even worse when I got into work, so I did another test. And the problem is, those lines can sometimes be very faint, and it was really, really faint. And I was like, I don't think that's positive. So I left it, carried on with work. And then when I got home, I did another test and it was a lot clearer. And I was like, yeah, I'm definitely tested positive for COVID. And normally it's a 5 days isolation and then with 2 negative tests and then you're in. But I tested positive for all the 10 days. Wow. And my work, they didn't even ask me how I was. It's like, we need you back in. We need you back in. Because
really,
after that day, we ended up having like 20 staff members off.
Wow.
So I think I spread it around, basically.
I was about to say, were you the carrier then?
I might have been, yeah. So,
yeah.
But my girlfriend had it first, and then because she doesn't live with me, and then when I got, because I saw her Friday and the Saturday, and then on the Sunday she was like, "Mark, I've tested positive for COVID," and I was like, "Ah, crap."
But at least it wasn't what, Mark, I'm pregnant.
Oh yeah. No, I mean, to be honest, that's the one test I'd be more worried about, maybe.
Yeah. Well, I said that to my wife when she was like, "Oh, I've got COVID." I was like, "What is it with you and positive tests? Last time you had a positive test with twins."
I'm a twin, actually. I'm an identical twin.
Oh yes, so are my boys. So we're gonna have a lot of shit to talk about, man.
Oh yes, we will. Yes, we will.
Oh, I am loving this interview already, and we are exactly 5 minutes in. This is brilliant. But I know I was kind of raging when Alison got it because I was itching to be positive as well, so I could be like, right, I'm finally part of the cool gang. Like, I'm part of the ones that are all like, we've all had COVID. I was negative the whole time.
Badge of honor,
yeah, but I was negative the whole time. I mean,
anyway, enough about your mental health. Hey,
that was the physical health. The only thing that was gutting was gutting for everybody else, but not for me. I hadn't had my booster yet, so I still had to isolate for the 10 days.
Oh no!
So Alison was back.
I had my booster, but I was it just got me badly, basically.
So my wife was back at work. She was clear to go back and work on the Monday, and I still had to wait to the following Wednesday. She's like, "I hate you so much. You've got COVID, and you can go back after me." And I'm like, all the anti-vaxxers are gonna love this. Not that I'm anti-vaxxer anyway. I was actually going to get it booked that week. And then she tested, and I'm like, "Oh, I've got to wait another 3 to 4 weeks before I can go and get get my booster.
Yeah,
So,
it is that. Yeah,
yeah.
it's mad.
So by the time this will have rolled out, I will have been boosted. Well, I will have been boosted. But like you
Fully
said,
boosted.
enough about me and my mental health. We're here to talk about you and your mental health. So what
Hey.
I like to do is to get the guests to tell my audience their origin story because, well, there's one thing that we have in common, and that's an origins. So, Mark, for my faithful followers, please tell us your origin story.
I feel like one of the X-Men. Is that what you call the origin stories?
Yeah, the MCU. That's spoiler alert. That's where I got the idea from.
Okay.
I was like, what does everybody always have? It always has an origin story.
Origin story.
And you could be one of the X-Men as well, because like you're twins. You could be.
Yeah.
You could fall into that category. As your twin had a sex change, you could be Scarlet Witch and Quicksilver.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah, it'd be brilliant. Oh dear. So, well, how far back do you want me to go?
Well, let's go right back. I don't need to know like your dad's technique or anything, because clearly I produce twins as well, so it must be a belter.
I think, to be honest, is apparently like my dad's side of the family like just have a real lot. There's twins in my dad's side of the family as well. My uncles are twins, so it's kind of like, yeah, this was, and actually on my mum's side as well. My great dad was a twin, so it was gonna happen basically. It was just a matter of.
Yeah, I actually blame my older brother, because there's no twins in any of mine or my wife's side. There's twins on Alison's side, but they're not a direct blood link, so there wasn't a chance from her. But my brother always said for years, "What? Knowing you, Andrew, you'll knock up some bird and it'll be twins." But 5 years he said this to me, so I blamed him. He jinxed my sperm.
Well, the joke is, I have two older brothers as well, and like my mum and dad really wanted to have a girl, so like, I have two boys, I have a girl, so they'll try for a girl.
Yeah.
And they ended up getting two boys, and then my dad was like, "Right, I'm getting a vasectomy after that." No problem.
See, I got respect for your dad to get a vasectomy. Like, I'll stick with just going abstinent. Well, I can barely trust myself with my junk, let alone someone else, even if they're a qualified professional.
They can chop it all off and it'll still produce something.
Yeah, because no, I'd be one of the buggers where the vasectomy didn't take, and then I'd knock her up again. I wouldn't take that chance. So how did your
on that note, said that's how I was created. That's how I came into this world.
Yeah. So how did your family cope with like, especially going doubling up, you having two and then having four in the process? I mean, I struggle with the two I've got. I love them dearly, but Christ almighty, they're a handful.
Well, yeah, it's just I don't know. I mean, the thing is, we have and I'll talk about this more later. Like, we have a very good extended family, like good support network around us. So my mum and my dad's side of the family were very supportive of us, and but then my mum and dad split up. And then it was like my mum bringing us four up, which was single parent, bring us four up. And then when I was about 10, 11, me and my twin brother got diagnosed with a form of autism called Asperger's. Yeah. And so there was that. But luckily at the time, actually, disability benefits were decent. They were all right. So my mum got like DLA for us, disability living allowance, so now it's called PIP, but back then it was disability living allowance, and she got that, and for us, and she was working part-time as well. This is why I always hate the idea that single parent families are like scroungers or whatever, all that nonsense that goes around, because I also lived the experience of a single parent family. That's kind of how I knew where my politics was going to go, actually, because I was like, I don't like that judgment of people coming from Leicester, because I technically came from Leicester, and it was a real struggle for for my mum, for my brothers, for us as well, because you had two kids, not just twins, but twins with autism. Both of them have autism, and it's just like, and obviously that did impact on all our mental health. So actually, we used to access child and adolescent mental health services, and we had like this big. There was this like big family therapy session as well. Like, it was when we actually had decent mental health services. Again, we're going back to a time where mental health services wasn't run down to the ground, and you could actually access them. So for listeners, time ago, you actually had access to mental health services, and but so I think if it hadn't been for that and the support network, we wouldn't have got through the things. So school was tough. School was very tough. Secondary school in particular, because of our autism, me and my brother didn't know how to interact with people. When people would manipulate us and get us to do things, and then we would get into trouble, but we wouldn't realise why. And I mean, lucky I had the two older brothers that were looking out for us, but it was a very challenging childhood, to say the least. I think for everyone involved. But then when I went to, like, I know that's another thing. Teachers downplayed what I was capable of. Like, they were like, "Oh, you're not going to come out with hardly any GCSEs, or worry about going to college." Yeah, like, really. But I have a tendency to try and prove people wrong. Like, I'm a bit stubborn like that. It's probably what I tend to prove myself wrong as well. It's how I've, battled my mental health. It's almost that constant, you're fighting with yourself. And so I was like, no, I came out with nothing other, everything was C and above. So it was really good. So I went to college. But even in college, they were like, "Oh, it's just great that you're here." It was really, I had those really patronising, awful teachers. And then I got decent enough grades to go to university and got a degree. But then while I was at university, I started working in schools, after school clubs near my university. And actually, I was like a disability ambassador for a while at the university, and I started giving talks about mental health. In school. So actually very early on, I was kind of drawn to that side of things anyway, because then afterwards I started teaching like kids with SEN, like special needs. And then after I left uni, I started working in schools like full time as a teaching assistant, and then mainstream schools, but in an autism unit. And then now I've been working in the special needs school for the best part of 8 years now, and I really enjoy it. It's, and actually halfway through, that's another thing. So my dad died about 6 years ago, and really my school, that's when I think my mental health took a turn for the worst, because I had quite a complicated history with my dad. He was a bit of a drinker, but he wasn't an abusive one. He was just more of he was just an idiot when he was drunk. He'd just make silly decisions. Like, he got bankrupt about 3 times. He was a bit of a Del Boy wheeler dealer, so he was just like, one of those. And he was just, so I had a bit of a complicated stuff with him. But anyway, when my dad passed, my school actually gave me a sabbatical. They were really, one thing I will say about my school, I'm obviously not going to name my school on here because not appropriate, but they were very supportive of my mental health. And I was like, I need a break. I need a career break. So for about 7 months, I went out to Vietnam with my girlfriend at the time. Yeah. And that's actually how I got into comedy.
There's something to do with this podcast, Vietnam and comedy. Because I've had a guest on, Niall Mackay. Or not, is it Niall Mackay? But, and it's spelled Niall, but pronounced Neil. So he really tripped me up with that one. But he lives in Vietnam. He's Scottish and he's a comedian.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so of course I made the joke of, right, Neil, are you a sex offender?
We can't really say that about me. I've had my DBS. I'm definitely not.
Yeah, you've got the qualification to back it up, but there must be something about Vietnam and being a comedian. How did that happen? But also a big shout out to my followers in Vietnam. I hear you.
Yeah. Well, so we were based in Saigon, and I went out there to initially teach English, and my girlfriend at the time, who I was with, she was very much into creative stuff. And she went along to this spoken word night in Saigon, and it was like a mixture of expats Vietnamese and things like that. But they also had like a little comedy workshops going on, and I've always loved comedy. I've always loved it.
Yeah.
I used to watch all the great stand-ups growing up, and you know, the Bill Hickses, like Chris Rock. I absolutely, one of my first stand-ups I saw was Chris Rock, like on TV, not in, but like so stuff like that. So I was always massive comedy fan.
Yeah.
But then so I thought I'd give these comedy workshops a go, and after a few weeks we had a showcase in a bar called Yoko, named after obviously Yoko Ono, and I was absolutely bricking it, full room. It was like about 50 people.
Yeah.
And I was absolutely bricking it, like the scariest thing. And I actually remember getting up there. I remember choking. I remember like just not the words not coming out. And then the MC was really supportive. He was like, "This is Mark's first time. It's all right, Mark. I will yell the jokes into your ear if I have to." And but it gave me that chance to relax. And once I got into it, that buzz, that adrenaline, doesn't matter about any drink or drugs. Any comedian will tell you this. That adrenaline you get from performing. And it doesn't go away as well. You can perform to a group of 5 people. You can perform to a group of 50 people. That adrenaline when you perform is something amazing. It's something that really just drew me. But then there's the highs and the lows, because you could have an amazing gig and then a really shit gig. And it's a bit like, I feel like comedy scene would be described as sort of bipolar in terms of the way you do your gigs. It's highs and lows. But it was an amazing experience for me. And I was like, right, when I get back home, I'm going to really get into comedy. And then I put it off for about a year because I was like, I'm too scared. And then I did another comedy course. And then I started to get more experience. And then eventually I started to do regular stuff. And I think last May, I was signed up to an agency called Ingenious Fools.
Wow.
So I mean, it's not as, it is impressive, but it's not like, they're quite a small agency, but they represent acts with disabilities, and so it's a very supportive agency actually.
Brilliant.
Yeah, so because last year over Zoom with all the lockdown that happened, I did the Comedy Store, they do gong shows.
Yeah.
I did the online gong show.
Oh, cool.
And the first time I did it, I lasted about 30 seconds. The second time I did it, I won.
Hey.
And then I was offered a spot at the actual Comedy Store, which is absolutely, it was Comedy Store in Leicester Square, and it was the best experience. 300 odd people.
Yeah.
And just some of the names you walk past, and some of the names that have been there, Robin Williams and things like that, and you get so intimidated by that sort of thing. But wow, I've shared the stage with someone like this, and the owner of the Comedy Store really likes me. He wants me back at some point. So so if you're listening, I would love to do another spot, Comedy Store.
But if you're listening, like, for God's sake, just like pick up this show. It's full of comedians.
I know.
Full of absolute jokers, and then there's me.
So yeah, I mean, I want to get on to how you got into comedy, but that'll be a question I'll do later. This is about.
He's already spoiled alert to ask Andrew anything, guys, but at least I can remind him if he forgets later.
Yeah.
But that's absolutely brilliant, man. Absolutely brilliant.
I also run my own disability and mental health comedy night, because I thought there was a lack of that type of thing on the scene. Like, first it was disability, and then I realised a lot of the acts I was getting applying for it were like, "We have mental health. Does that count as a disability?" And I was like, "Oh, I'll just say mental health as well." So it was pretty much every comedian, to be honest. But no, it's like it's been a wonderful thing, a wonderful experience as well, because we've had some amazing acts headlining at La Fable. We had like Rosie Jones, who
brilliant,
massive TV name.
Yeah,
an actor called John Robertson who does Dark Room. So we've had some absolutely amazing acts on our Fable, and we got some funding to take it to Nottingham Comedy Festival, and we got Fatty El Ghori headline in our last one. So, I mean, it's harder to get the bigger headliners now because since post-lockdown, it's been hard to drum up the support for Laugh Able, but we're trying to work on grants and various things, the other. So it's a busy time. It's exciting, but the comedy and the mental health all kind of come into one for me because I always feel like actually, well, again, one of my favourite acts is Hannah Gadsby, and when she does her show Nanette and talks about that trauma on stage, and that kind of influenced me. I want to talk more about my mental health on stage, and I'm just starting to. I used to focus on the autism, but now I'm trying to write stuff about my mental health, and it's hard because I think audiences find that type of dark humour it's because it's not dark humour in terms of offensive joke, it's dark humour in terms of you're delving into things like suicide and things like that. And because funny thing, like I was diagnosed with generalized anxiety disorder, and I had to take sertraline. I'm not sure if you know the medication.
I'm on that. I'm on 200 mil, a 200 mil man right here.
Yeah, I'm only on 50. Jesus, I found 50 hard enough.
There's a reason why it's called mental.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, so I took it, and I remember reading the first side effect on there is suicidal thoughts or suicidal ideation. And I'm like, all right, just next time leave a live toaster next to my bathtub. You know, do you know what I mean? It's like
I actually used that as an opening line for an open mic night a while back. Well,
really?
Yeah, it was an online open mic night, and I thought, fuck it, I'm going to do it. Why not? First time I'd done anything like that in 7 years, and I was wrecking it. And all we heard was in the background was this kind of like distorted kind of sound effect. It sounded like running water. So the MC had said, like, hey, can someone switch that bath off before the next act comes on? So the next act was me. And I was like, I don't have an opening joke. So I just went on, I said, to the person that was running that bath, if you wait 5 minutes till my set's done, you can have a special guest, the toaster.
Hey, I love it. That's brilliant.
And that just broke the ice. I'm like, okay, now to talk about how it's shit being a dad with twins.
Jesus, that's amazing. But yeah, that's great. I love that. See, that's the sort of thing. But I like that. I think because if you trivialize it, you can normalize it, and that's actually when you can have those open conversations as well.
Yeah, definitely. Like especially like you're doing just now, man. Like, first of all, like the fact that you are a teacher is amazing. I can barely stand the kids I've got. You willingly go to other people's kids, and try and stop them being dicks. Now that's hard enough to do with any like quote unquote normal children, but every child, I believe, no matter what they have going on in their heads, they're normal either way. They're all nuts.
Yeah.
Even the quote unquote normies. But to go out there like that kind of like the special schools and stuff, and do what you do, really admirable. A lot of respect for you, man. A lot of respect. And to use the type of humor that you're trying to do, to also educate as well as entertain, it's brilliant. It's one of the reasons why like I've gone into this kind of stuff as well. Like I'm quirky. That's the worst way of saying I'm fucking nuts. But I embrace the fact that I am nuts. And just say, right, we can all be nuts together. Because worst comes to worst, it ain't the guest that's gonna get ridiculed. It's gonna be me. I'm the one putting it out to the masses. But no, I really respect the stuff that you're doing, man. Like, it's absolutely amazing. Really.
So yeah, that's kind of the origin story. But basically, you see, the problem with me, it's funny. Like a lot of people think autistic people don't like to talk much.
Yeah.
Large social situations, that's the case, but I've got over that because I've had to, because comedy, you know.
Yeah.
But like one-on-one, great. And if you ask me about myself, oh God, I'll just go on for ages. But that's sorry, I do apologise. That's the thing about autism as well, that you can go on about a particular subject for the longest time because you have that one-track mind. So that's why I think every comedian is on the spectrum, because it's just like, I can talk about myself for an extended period of time without any right to reply. Perfect. But
it also works well for people on the spectrum, because Well, even though you're performed to tons of people and we're like, oh my God, that's a nightmare. It's only you on stage. And if you can't see them because of all the lights, you just think it's just you in a room just talking random bollocks. Because that's the way I used to do it when I was on stage acting and stuff. I was like, no one's out there. I can't see them. They're all shadows. Could all be cardboard cutouts for all I care.
So also you have acting background.
Acting, singing, wee bit of comedy, wee bit now podcast presenting. Oh, you know,
Nice.
it's another day and another glass of milk.
Yeah,
Just
because
use that to get a drink because my throat is like a junkie's carpet, man. Unreal.
well, that's the thing, because one of my older brothers is an actor,
Nice.
but he had to give it up because very talented, by the way, but he had to give it up because he just wasn't getting the work. I mean,
yeah.
And you probably know from experience how hard the industry is. Like comedy, yes, also acting.
Yeah,
it's very hard industry, and that hit him as well quite hard.
Yeah.
But so there's always been like that performing element to my family. Like my dad went to drama school for a little bit. My nan went to Guildhall Music and Drama.
Wow.
So she was also a teacher. So it's kind of like that kind of performance thing is very much ingrained into my family. If you get my extended family in the room, it's just nuts. We're all trying to get the last word in anyway, and it's just like,
it's brilliant. Right, because it was it was the reverse in my family. Like I was like one of the first people in my family that tried to go down the performing route.
Right, okay.
But the only other person that I knew at that point was my great uncle David, what lives down in Chorley. He's a singer and stuff like that. And really good singer, really good Roy Orbison like the singer, stuff like that as well. But I was the only one that ever had an interest in performing on stage, singing, acting, all that kind of stuff. And I always felt like there was something wrong with me because of that. I felt like an outsider, but at the same time, I knew I was good at it, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. And it's the one thing I know I'm good at. I'm shit at everything else. This is my 6-year-old brain telling me this. I'm like,
wow.
I'm shit at everything else, but I'm good at this. Let's keep going. And I did it for about 20 years, so about 26, 27. And then took a tour on the road, and that broke me because I always tell people I got a 300-seater venue because I was so encouraged that people would come. 8 people turned up over 2 nights.
Oh, that's horrible.
And that broke me. And that's been almost 9 years now, and I've never set foot in the stage since. Just couldn't do it.
But the thing is, that shouldn't like reflect on you, because my shows were Bath Able. We were getting, it's different, but we would get like 50, 60 people in the small community space.
Yeah.
But packed out. Since post lockdown, we barely reached 20.
Yeah.
And actually, last time we had about 5 or 6 people.
Yeah.
And it does, and we do it once a month, so I try and publicize it a lot. So I know that feeling of you have that high expectation. And the thing is, it would be no fault of your own that's happened. It just could be a number of factors going against you. But being mental health, it's like you think the worst of yourself.
Took a lot of therapy to get over that. I'm still not entirely over it, in all honesty. It's more, I wasn't angry for myself. I was angry for my cast, because I felt like I'd let them down. And no matter how many times you said, like, oh, you haven't let us down, you've done a great show, blah, 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 you still feel it. And it's like someone could tell you, like, you're amazing so many times, but if you're in your head, it just constantly saying, you're shit, you're shit, you're shit.
Oh, yeah.
That's just what it is. And that's how it goes. But I always love having, like, speaking to comedians in particular, because I died a horrible death being a comedian. I did 2 shows, but before the open mic night I told you about, and I died horribly. I was awful, like really, really bad. And ever since then, even before that, I loved studying comedians. I loved studying their timing, their execution. Because it's basically a one-man monologue performed to people.
Yeah.
You just have tiny pauses to expect laughs.
Well, what was this? My older brother, Ryan, the actor, he's always said to me, like, what you do is way harder than me, because I'm given a script a lot of the time. You you write things yourself and you see people have to react. Whereas with acting, if your acting is good and the script is good, then the audience will react. And you have a lot of people around you doing that, like kind of helping with the performance and things like that. Whereas, again, the one-man monologue, I think it's a perfect way to describe it, but you're writing it yourself. You're producing it yourself. I mean, it's, I mean, I'm not saying that acting is still another skill set, but this is what I found interesting, is a lot of the scene at the moment has actors, comedy scene has the amount of people I've met, they're like, oh, so what do you do? Oh, I'm an actor. I think for whatever reason, it's a really kind of natural.
Yeah. And you always find that
natural bedfellows.
You find actors don't transition into comedy as well as comedians transition into actors.
Yes.
I've noticed that a lot, because you see a lot of programs, you're like, oh, like, for example, like Lee Evans, like you've had ones like Jack D.
John Bishop on Doctor Who, like,
even like Bradley Walsh, like he started out as a comedian, and then went on to TV and then talk shows and all that kind of stuff. So it's the same with a lot of comedians have that transferable skill, whereas some actors, they just aren't funny. There's just nothing, there's nothing to them, and that's just not how they're trained. And fair dues, they could be.
Well, the thing is, like,
they could do like a farcical comedy and stuff, but it's like I could transition it a little bit, but at least I thought I could, because I was good at being a comedy guy on stage, like playing the Joker part and so that kind of stuff. And it's like, oh, well, maybe I could do this. Boy, how wrong was I? I was fucked. Oh man! So you want to sell your stuff. So while I take a drink of my milk, sell everything that you've got coming up. Everything that's coming up. This will probably go out about. This will be going out about March time. Killing the illusion for everybody. But so from March onwards,
it's good to know that, because I have things coming up in February, but actually there's no point promoting that.
Well, everything in February was a roaring success, and this is why you should come to everything in March.
Yes, absolutely. So by that time, we should have our next Laugh Able show on March 25th. And it'll be, if you're East London based, it'll be there. And we have a fantastic Brighton based comic, Rebecca Turner, headlining. Bex Turner, she's brilliant.
Yeah.
And a lot of other amazing acts. It's Women's History Month as well.
Oh, nice.
So all the acts, women or non-men, and actually the MC, I'm not even MCing that night, because I'm like, if a man was MCing a Women's History Night, it'd be a bit weird. So we have the wonderful Variety D MCing. She's fantastic. Check her out on all the socials. And in terms of the gigs I've got coming up as well, individually, literally just had a meeting with my agent today about certain things. But
what's it like having a meeting with an agent? I have never had an agent in my puff. What is that like?
No, do you know what? It's really good, and she's a really encouraging agent, but she's also realistic. Like, she tells you how it is, where, you know, like we had a showcase with the agency where there was promoters and various other people there at the Glee Club in Nottingham. Wow. And that was a huge gig. I didn't do so well. I was very ill, but basically what I'd done, I'd gigged far too much and I burnt out. And she even said that he burnt out, Mark. He did too much. So she's very honest with me, but very upfront, but very positive. Right, let's move forward and things like that. And actually, she's really good at things like applying for grants, and she really believes in the Laugh Able project. So she's a very encouraging agent. But the thing is, having an agent, I will say this. When you say you have an agent, it sounds really impressive. It doesn't guarantee you gigs. And she's. I mean, I'm not saying she works very hard for all her. Ingenious Falls as an organisation work very hard for all their acts, all their clients. But you know, it's not always a guarantee. And actually, often promoters don't like it when agents are emailing them, because it's like, oh fucking hell, another agent sort of thing. And she said that to me, but you think that's probably because I've got bit paid work from her, but I've also got bit paid work from myself. You still have to hustle.
Yeah.
And that's one of the things I find challenging, because being autistic, it's that after a show, like, all I want to do is go home.
Yeah.
But it's important to network and talk to people and things like that.
Yeah.
But anyway, I'm meant to be actually doing my show. So the 2nd of March, I'm headlining G&B Comedy Night.
Nice.
That is in I don't know where that one is, but they have 3 venues. They have Star of Kings in King's Cross. They have Arts One in Canning Town, and they have the Royal George. I believe actually Wednesday this will be Arts One in Canning Town. So I'll be headlining that on the 2nd of March.
Oh, nice one.
And then on the 6th of March, I'll be in Derby doing a gong show, Spiky Mikey's gong show. So definitely, if you're in the Midlands area, come along for that.
Doing anything in Scotland?
Sorry?
Doing anything up Scotland, up our way?
No. Do you know what? I'd love to come to Scotland, actually. Where are you based in Scotland?
Well, I'm based in Coatbridge, so the closest for me would be Glasgow. Well, that's about 20 minutes away. I work in Glasgow as well. And obviously, have you ever thought about coming up for the Fringe?
Yeah, I'm doing the Fringe this year, actually.
Nice. So you are coming to Scotland?
Yes, I am. I'll be in Edinburgh.
Yes.
Well, hopefully we're going to get this confirmed. Fingers crossed, but you might need to edit this out if it's not confirmed. But between the 4th and the 15th of August, taking a show to Edinburgh called The Undiagnosables, and it's me and 3 other acts with disabilities, Benny Shakes, Kate Lovelock, Paisley Boyd, and it's called The Undiagnosables. And between the 4th and the 15th of August, we'll be in Edinburgh doing some runs.
What I'll do is, instead of me having to, edit, because, well, fuck that, I'll just say it's not been confirmed yet, but just go to the Fringe. Might run into them.
Yeah.
There we go.
So that's that. What else? So yeah, Spiky March on the 6th. I feel like I have something on the 7th of March that I haven't written down yet.
Well, I always do when that happens, doesn't it? Because I had to get I had to get a diary for doing the podcast. Well, since people actually were like, "Oh, I want to come on," I'm like, "Really? You want to come on here?" Well, so my wife got me a diary like for my Christmas. I'm like, "Oh, yeah, dancer," and I'm like looking through it, going, "Have I missed something? Have I missed something? Why have I booked that in Zoom and I've not booked it in my diary? Why have I not wrote anything down?" Well, fuck, let's stroll through your IMs and see who you've been messaging over the last couple of weeks. Like, do you not find that as well? Like, no matter how organized your brain is, there's something that always slips through.
Oh yeah, I am so as like an autistic man. Everyone thinks I'm super organised, but I'm not. I'm terribly organised. That's the good thing about having an agent, is they can organise your diary for you. And actually, applying for gigs is a fucking nightmare. So it's like, she's like, just tag me in anything, and any gigs you see, Mark, just tag me in it on Facebook, and I tag her in it. And she's like, "Mark, you've been tagging me a lot recently." You're like, "Yeah, this is a bit overwhelming sometimes." Just because when you have a full-time job, because the thing is, I do get the odd paid work, but a lot of it is trial spots and pro nights. And because I would describe myself as maybe semi-pro at the moment. Haven't quite cracked the pro yet, because it's very difficult. But I'm just getting the odd paid work, but not enough to quit my job yet. So it's one of those things. It's like, I need a full-time job because I need to pay rent, but at the same time, it's like,
I know that feeling. Like, I'm still in the day job, and it's just like, this is killing my soul. Well, I just think,
I know. I mean, as much as I love my job, I actually would far prefer to be doing the comedy for a living. So there is.
Have you ever had any of the kids or any of the kids' parents notice you from the comedy scene? Anything like that happened yet?
No, not yet. But I'm waiting for it. However, I know there was another teaching assistant, who took a show to Edinburgh, and basically me and a few other teachers surprised her at Edinburgh, because I went up anyway just to see a few shows, and I bumped into a couple of other teachers from my school, and like, oh, who are you here to see? Oh, we're here to see Candy. She's performing in Edinburgh. And so we all went and surprised her. It was like, oh my God, my work are here. And it's just like London, bear in mind, we're all London, East London based.
Yeah.
And we,
And you're like-
yeah, and it was, oh, we're in Edinburgh. Funny that. But
Oh,
yeah,
wow.
so March, I don't know after that. Hang on. I do actually write things down now. I'm pretty good. Oh, here we go. I headline a G&B again on Tuesday, 15th of March. That's at Star of Kings and King's Cross.
Nice.
And I will be doing also, I think I'm down to do another gig. No, at the moment it doesn't say I have. Oh yeah, so I'm doing Sunday. Oh, I've got that wrong. I want to say 20th of March. I'm doing Sunday Stick. I'm doing a 10-minute spot there. That's in Kentish Town. All of it at the moment is London based, but in May I'll be going to the Brighton Fringe to take a few shows there.
Nice.
Laugh Able, Brighton Fringe on the 12th of May. And what I'll do is, if I forget anything, I'll just send you all the. When you send this out, I can give you all the links to things.
Yeah. Just send me just send me the links you've got. I'll put them in the description. And also I'll do some plugging for you as well. For any gigs that you're doing.
Amazing. And 7th and 8th of May, I'm on an amazing panel show called Below the Belt.
Oh wow!
You know the Below the Belt, or
I have heard of it. I have not seen it yet, but I have heard of it.
I'm really glad you've heard it. It's definitely up and coming. It's what we'd like to describe as disability taskmaster, and it's run by Benny Shakes.
Yeah.
And the idea is to disable able-bodied people, so blindfold them while cutting bread. They cut bread while blindfolded. And I don't want to give it all away for you because from people, but that's 7th and 8th in Brighton, 7th and 8th of May. But drawing with your feet, that's another one we do because a lot of people don't have arms, and so it's basically putting in your mindset of a disabled person. It's a brilliant show. I'm so proud to be part of it, and me and Benny Shakes on the circuit, we are like a comedy husband and wife. We spend a lot of time together. So, but also because I'm a team captain, I've got another team captain, Kate Lovelock, on there, and me and Kate we just bully each other all the time. Well, Benny bullies me really. It's Benny because Benny and Kate both have cerebral palsy. And so and I'm the autistic one, so they always pick the autistic one. But it's a really good fun show. We've had some brilliant acts on, but we will have other brilliant acts on there.
For those that haven't heard of Below the Belt, where can they find it?
So if you go to Facebook, search Below the Belt, it will come up. And I've keep telling Benny to get an Instagram for it because there's some wonderful photos. Like at one point, I'm poked with a stick a lot while doing the task. It's well worth for the photos of that. It's an absolutely wonderful show, and like we're getting booked up all the time. There's a lot of venues that want the show. And 14th and 15th of May is in Brighton as well. But you know what? There's loads of Below the Belt dates. But also with Laugh Able, find Laugh Able on Facebook. Our Insta is at Laugh Able 1990. And the Twitter account. Now, I didn't mean to do this, but I don't want to delete it now because then you have to re-promote it. But I tried to set up a Laugh Able Twitter, and I'm not kidding. The Laugh Able Twitter handle is probably the most autistic handle. It's at LaughAbe 802 72642. I don't even know how that happened. I think it would sound better if it just had the number of pi at the end of it, you know.
Or just had like 8008. What it spells boob.
yeah, exactly. LaughAbe boob. We're very inclusive night.
Yep. Doesn't matter. We're all boobs here. We're all boobs here.
So find Laugh Able, follow me at Nicholas Comic on Twitter and at Mark Nicholas 9690 on Insta and Mark Nicholas Stand Up Comedian on Facebook. So that is where, and obviously check out Ingenious Fools. I have to promote them really.
Of course.
Yeah, my agent would be like, why haven't you promoted us? But yeah, for Ingenious Fools, they do some amazing work as well. So
in fairness, like some agents are a bit hesitant about what the promotions and stuff like that. I had a couple of guys that have been on, and they were like, "Oh, can I clear it with my agent first to make sure I can come on?" And I was like, "You have to clear this with an agent? Wait, you have an agent?"
I don't. I mean, I haven't asked her, but
I'm sure it'll be all right.
Okay.
I'm sure it'll be all right. Like,
I mean, you're not like a very controversial figure. I mean, even
aside from being ginger and left-handed and a bit nuts, I'm all right.
Do you know what? My agent would have said no. My agent would have said no. We're very inclusive, but we draw the line at gingers, I'm afraid.
Hey, well, in fairness, even the Bible draws the line at gingers. They make Judas wear a ginger wig whenever they do any shows. How you get a ginger in the fucking Egypt, I have no idea, but that's what they do. Like they put him in a ginger wig. How dare you?
Do you know what? I think you should give this comedy another crack. Actually,
yeah. It's also the thing of like. Well, I was actually discussing this with a comedian who's a vicar, Maggie Whitehouse. We were discussing bits and pieces about like religion and stuff. Half the stuff I didn't think I could get away with saying to a vicar, but yeah. Well, it was she's absolutely fantastic. So I'd advise you check her out if you're on the scene as well. Well, and I said to her, I was like, I think when they wrote the idea of hell, they just walked up to a ginger person and said, "What's your worst nightmare?" If you think about it, it's constant fire. Like you can't escape it. There's no shade. Like you've got to suffer it for all eternity.
And you burn as well. You burn like hell. Hey.
Yeah. Well, and you burn and you just burn and burn and burn. Well, and then they gave us that bit because we never get a tan.
Hey.
I remember I had that once. Like I thought I was getting a tan. I was like, "Oh wow, I'm actually getting a tan. This is crazy." That was a ginger hair in my arm coming through.
No.
I was like,
see, it's really weird. You can't really see it on my camera, but
I can see the ginge right around there, like, especially the ginge goatee.
Then what's the real problem is that because I'm part Italian and part Irish, so
you buried the lead there, man. There's a story right there.
Oh, it really is. It really is. Like, genuinely true. My nan had a photo of Mussolini being hung.
Wow,
it was the first ever dick pic.
Hey!
No, but genuinely, she did have a photo of him being, and she threw it away because she had it wasn't a very nice picture. And I said to her, "Do you know that would be worth so much money?
Yeah.
Why would you get rid of that?"
Oh my goodness,
that's
unreal. Man, it's been an absolute pleasure talking to you, buddy. Like you've been such just a nice breath of fresh air. I've had an absolutely crap week at my day job. Well, I was looking for something to cheer me up, and you've brought that wee bit of light back to me. Thank you so much.
I appreciate it. I appreciate being on. Thank you. It's been really lovely to have a chat.
So we are starting to come up in time. So I'll ask you the final question that I ask all my guests. If you could give one piece of advice to anybody that's struggling with mental health issues at this point in time, and you could probably be one of the actual few people who could be qualified to answer this question, what would that piece of advice be and why?
Do comedy. No, I'm joking. No, it's not for everyone. No. No, what I would say is try to see if you can have a good support network around you. But then if you can't, because I know people on their own a lot, just reach out. I would say just reach out and just to anyone that will listen. Any mental health hotline, try and look it up, even if you've got no one. Just reach out, because all these thoughts in your head, all these thoughts that go around in your head, you'd be very surprised how many other people have those thoughts. Like they say 1 in 3 people have mental health. I think it's 3 out of 3. I honestly think everyone goes through it, but the problem is not enough people talk about it for it to because I think having mental health is part of being human as well. We have emotions, but it's when you can't control your mental health it becomes a problem. So reach out to people as soon as you can. You'd be surprised with the reactions, because majority of the time people are very supportive. And the ones that aren't, fuck them. You should have them in your life anyway.
That's the best advice. Reach out, and if they don't listen, fuck them.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
That is the best.
I have a very Scottish attitude to it, don't I?
You're a poet among men, my friend. Absolutely brilliant. So we're going to come to what is fast becoming the least favorite segment of my show, Ask Andrew Anything. And this is where, after me grilling my guests for around 51 minutes, this is where we get to turn the tables around and the guest gets to ask me a question. It could go very well. It could go very badly, but that's all part of the fun. So, Mark, do you have a question for this mental ginger?
Well, what is your mental health condition?
How long you got?
So it's I can put the day off work tomorrow if you want me to.
I just put in for a well-being day because my mental health hit the floor today. Well, it was that bad a day at work. Well, I was like crying on my lunch break. I was like, I need to get out of this job. It was a nightmare. Officially,
well, you should get a well-being day. Actually, it'd be surprises.
Yeah, I had to fight for it, but I got it. So amazing. Well, officially, so all the things I've got are high functional. So it means I can still go about and like have a day job, do things like, like being with my wife, my kids, all that kind of stuff. So I'm classed as high functional, so it means I don't get any benefit. Damn it. So anxiety, social anxiety, manic depression. What they used to call just say it was like clinical, but I like manic. Makes me sound like a bit more of a nutter.
So is that bipolar?
Yeah, essentially it's bipolar, but I like manic depression. I think it just sounds a bit more like.
Yeah, I never know why they changed it, because I think manic depressive was the perfect description for it. Like, no offense, but it described it perfectly.
Yeah, well, and I like saying it. Well, it just gives you that bit more of a right. Don't mess with me. I am this crazy.
I'm a crazy fucker, basically.
It's like, I'm not depressed. I'm manically depressed. But,
yeah, it does give an edge to it, doesn't it?
Yep. Well, I've had bouts of psychosis as well, which was just after that was just after my boys were born. And I was having hallucinations that I was hurting them and stuff, and it was horrible. It's absolutely horrible. It's so hard to describe to someone that you can't trust your own sense of reality. Well, because there would be times where I'd be like crying, and I was like, what? I was like, I can't believe I hit corner. I can't believe that slapped gear. And it's just like, have you been down here the whole time? The boys aren't even here. They're up in the bed. Well, but I'd had this whole thing, seen this whole thing when thought it was real and it wasn't. Well, and it was like the worst type of thing I thought I could have ever went through until I got separated from my kids in 2020 when the lockdown happened. So I got separated from them because I was classed as a danger to myself and my family because my mental health got that bad. God. And being told I'm a danger to myself, I've had that before. Like I've got suicidal tendencies. That was like a dime a dozen. But being told you're a danger to your then 2-year-old kids was just absolutely heartbreaking.
Of course.
There's times where I've been in hospital rooms in after suicides and stuff. But I would say that was the closest I ever really came to being like, right, there is no way back for me. And it was one of the things I remember sitting. Because I had to stay with my parents at the time. And I was sitting in the spare room and I was just on my own. It was like this vision of like this path, these two paths appeared before me. Again, it was a bit of the psychosis kind of thing in me, or just my overactive imagination, or just all the drugs I was on to try and stable me out at that point. Because I was on things that were were meant to just settle me, and I was only awake for like 2 hours out of 24 hours a day. For a full week, it was a nightmare. I just remember, so it could have been a nightmare, I don't know, but I just remember seeing two paths in front of me, and one was a really short one, and it was just a case of there's the out. You're done. You're over. What?
Yeah.
And then there was a longer path, and it was like you've got to fight to get back to your kids, to get back to Alison, to get back to your family, to get back to a positive mental health thing. I am not going to lie, that short path was so tempting because it's something that I try and raise awareness about, especially when it comes to suicidal thoughts. Everybody says to you the first, like, how can you be so selfish? You think in your head it's the most selfless thing that you are doing because you think you're a burden.
Feel like you're a burden on everyone else.
Yeah, you feel like there is no benefit to you being alive and that everybody would be better off without you. Someone could come up to you and say, well, what about blah, 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 blah. What about your kids? What about your wife? You'd be like, they would have a much better life without having a dad or a husband that's nuts. What about your mum and dad? What, they wouldn't need to worry about their son anymore. These are all the things that go on in your head. Yeah. But you feel ashamed to say it. And that's one of the reasons also why I do this, is to say this stuff goes on in everybody's head to some degree. So I really consider.
I'm really glad you do a show like this, and I'm really, it's refreshing for you to talk so openly about this because, I mean, I blocked him now, but there was this absolute. I shared this thing about men's mental health about we need to normalise expressing your emotions because this is why often men turn to violence a lot of the time because we're taught to hold things in and man up. And then this guy was, and then this guy just put on my comments on Facebook, just went, no, it's natural for men to be aggressive. That's how they let it out. And I'm like, oh, and I blocked him. I was like, no, I can't have you on my Facebook.
Yeah, no.
He was the definition of toxic masculinity.
Yeah. That's the type of guy that you'll see like on one of those Channel 5 police shows getting done for assaulting somebody.
Yeah, that's and I'm ashamed to say he's autistic, and he blames his autism if he ever screws up.
That's the thing I really, really, really hate. That people say they've got mental health issues, or if they do have mental health issues, because let's face it, people do. We have positive mental health, we have negative mental health, and that's the thing you need to bring into the equation. Everyone has mental health. It just depends how you manage it. Because I've had people tell me mental health doesn't exist, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me? Well, how's your brain? Your brain is working. That's mental. That's a mental thing. Your mental health is probably more important than your physical. Because if you can't get that in gear, everything else is fucked.
And if you're not processing things well, that's when your mental health becomes a problem.
Yeah.
It's it's like the whole autism thing. I've had various things about vaccines and autism, and it's just like, I've had my booster, so I'm fully autistic now. Ha ha ha. You know, but it's like it's the way I describe it. This is why I think it's mental health as well. It's your brain is just wired a bit differently.
Yeah,
it's not. It's your processing that's different. We all, as you say, we all go through that, but it's when there's a trip wire or a trip circuit or something's just not connected.
Yeah. When I was in therapy, I got told to imagine your brain like a set of scales. Like, and when you're not in a good place, like that's one of the scales that just went down. So doing your therapy, in my case, taking medication, it doesn't work for everybody, but it works for me. That's a way of balancing those scales back out. And that's basically it.
And you know what? The fact that you've come through that shows actually you'll probably be more stronger than, you're more stronger than most people, because going through that and having to get your life back on track, it's a big thing to do. But
and it was something.
And hopefully you're in a better place now. I'm hoping you're in a better place.
100%, man. 100%.
And that's amazing. You should be very proud of yourself, actually.
If
I don't mean to sound patronising at all, by the way.
Not at all, man. You're not sounding patronising at all.
Yeah.
What? Not at all, because the people that sound patronising are the ones that come and go, oh, you're so brave to talk about this. And they don't say it like in the nice way. It's a very condescending tone. Like, you're so brave to be putting yourself out there. Oh, it's such a wonderful thing you're doing. Well, and then they're the same people that'll be like slating like somebody for wearing a dress that's like 3 sizes too small or whatever. And I'm like, you're the type of prick that we are trying to teach and go, don't put up memes about being kind. And then all of a sudden slate everybody when there's a vaccine, when there's a pandemic going on.
Oh, it's a fucking it's like they're the Karens of this world. But it's like, hopefully your wife's not called Karen. By the
Nope,
way,
Alison. Nope, she's an Alison. We're okay.
But yeah, it's mad. It's a mad one, isn't it? It's people, the way they respond. Like I've had you're an inspiration. Well, when I was having fucking meltdowns in school, my teachers didn't call me an inspiration. Then I was a troublemaker, but I was like, no, I was having genuine meltdowns. Inspiration. That's what I hate. It's like, I'm not fucking inspiration. I'm just here.
Yeah,
I exist. It's society that doesn't fit around us. That's how I see it.
Yeah,
we've been asked to jump to all these hoops. So I'm going on a bit of a, but it's society needs to accommodate us.
No, definitely, man. Like it's been too long where you've had to be a certain type of person. Men, women, toasters, whatever. We've all had to be a certain type of thing. We've all had to be like this one kind of standard. What you have to have the perfect body, you have to have the perfect mind, you have to be good, you have to be good at sports, you have to be this, you have to take the right vitamins, you have to do and it's all rammed down your throat constantly. And what they're finally starting to realize is that everyone is different. Shock horror.
Yeah.
Wow. Where was that news fucking 25 years ago? Well,
it's always existed. It's always existed. Yeah, always.
It's the same deal. Like I keep saying to people that, people who make fun of like gingers like in a really, really bad way, I say that's a form of like racism. And they go, no, it isn't. No, it's not. No, it's not. It's not. That's not. I'm like, yes, it is. There's statistically less gingers in the entire world than any other kind of population out there. 2% of the world is gingers. 18% of that too live in Scotland. So we're a minority of a minority.
Wow.
So you go and come up to us and be like, "What? Oh, I hope your kids aren't ginger because if I had ginger kids, I would drown them." That's That's not fucking okay, man. That's not okay to say something like that. And you know what? Most gingers, yes, we do have souls. Otherwise, we wouldn't take half this shit so fucking personally.
It's true. Yeah. It's all right. I have a ginger. My best friend's ginger. No, I'm joking. They're my cousin's ginger, so
Yeah, we are the only gingers, me and my brother and our family. Like even my kids are blondie because the ginger gene actually comes from the maternal side, like the mother.
Oh.
So like my niece and my wee boys, like they're blonde hair, blue eyes, like they'll be invading Poland when they're 7. Brilliant.
Yeah.
Mark, thank you again so much for coming on, man. You did take my line by because I was going to say you are inspiring, and you'd be like, oh, fuck off, man, fuck off. But I mean it in a genuine way, not in the condescending prick way. The work you do with kids, and that's making a massive difference. The work you're doing with your comedy, when it all revolves around positive mental health awareness and awareness that we are all the same and stuff. Even like your agent as well. If she gets if she wants any clients in Scotland, I'm free.
Yeah, don't worry. Yeah, no, it's all right. It's all right. I'll put in the nice little word.
I'll put in the nice word. Don't fucking take my job.
She actually does, but don't fuck it. No, actually, she actually takes on that. She takes on actors as well, actually. So there you go.
Ah, well. No. Make sure you get the plugs first, man. It's you always call dibs, don't you?
Always call dibs,
Yeah.
That's fine.
Oh man, yeah.
Thank you for having me on. It's been a pleasure. It's
been great, man. This has been the highlight of a very, very tough week for me. So, I really, really appreciate it. You've made my night. I'll be able to go and sleep on the couch very happily.
Oh, fantastic. That's brilliant. That's brilliant to hear. Thank you.
So for next time, my faithful followers, I've been Andrew Durning. This has been
Mark Nicholas. Thank you very much for listening.
Yep. Check him out on all the socials. Any stuff that he gives me will be in the descriptions below. And if not, just I like all his stuff. You guys follow me. So follow him. Piggyback off this ginger. Until next time, everybody. Take care. Stay safe. Bye-bye.
Bye.